Odera tightened her grip on the heavy tray of bananas balanced on her head as she weaved through the noisy, crowded market, her eyes scanning the moving crowd for potential customers. She knew this place like the back of her hand. She had been here since she was a child, running after people, begging them to buy her bananas. The sun was high, scorching, but she barely noticed. The marketplace was already alive. Women shouted, bargaining at the top of their voices. Children ran barefooted, their laughter ringing through the air. The sun had not fully risen, but the struggle had begun. Odera weaved through the crowd, her sharp voice cutting through the noise. Buy your fresh bananas, sweet like honey, cheap like giveaway. She was beautiful, but the years of hardship had stolen the glow from her skin. She had a loud voice, and people often mistook her toughness for rudeness. But deep inside, she was soft, just hidden beneath layers of struggle. A woman carrying a basket of tomatoes turned to her. Odera, how market now? Odera adjusted her tray. My sister, not only God and retail. The woman smiled. You no go ever change. Now your mouth go sell your market pass your banana. Odera still remembered the first time she had gone out alone to sell. It took a while before she got used to the business. Their small room smelled of damp walls and poverty. The mattress on the floor was thin, barely holding a shape. A rusty lantern flickered weakly beside it. Odera sat on a low stool, peeling the last banana from her tray. The only other occupant of the room, her father, sat on the mattress, his eyes staring into nothingness like they always did. Odera, his deep voice came, weary but yet firm. Are you sure you can handle this business alone? Odera smiled, tossing the banana peel into an old tin bucket. Papa, I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. How can you still be asking me this question? Her father sighed, running his hands over his unshaved chin. I just worry, you're still young, even if you never agree. And the streets are not kind. Young. Odera let out a dry laugh. Papa, I'm no longer a child. Hunger has made me older than my age. She stood up and cleaned up the dirt on her wrapper. I will sell bananas today, tomorrow, and next year, if that's what will put food in our mouths, she said. Her father nodded slowly, his unseeing eyes clouded with thoughts. May God bless you, my daughter. Odera bent down and picked up her tray. Amen, Papa. But for now, hunger no dey hear prayer, I dey go market. Every morning, she would wake up, arrange her bananas and go out into the streets, shouting until her throat was sore. Her grandmother had been her only support. The old man would stay back to care for her father while Odera sewed. But 2 years later, her grandmother died. Years passed and she grew into the person she was now. Hard on the outside, but inside she was calm and reserved. She had dreams of completing her education and paying for her father's surgery. But years of hardship and misfortune stole her dreams and expectations of a better future. All she thought of was how to get a shop to further her fruit business so she could get off the busy and dangerous streets. School care. Now see you to go school, auntie. Odera replied, Mama came when she went to rest in her shop. Odi, why you go talk like that now? The elderly woman asked, looking concerned. Mama came, I beg. No, no concern me again. No. Make I first meet me and my papa go chop first. Maybe for my next life, I go school. Odera replied while looking around for buyers. You still dey young to give up like this, so anything if it happen, no. Mama came encouraged. Odera nodded and was about replying her when she saw a bus stop at a distance. "Ah, they come on," she shouted as she carried her tray of bananas and ran off. Odera had just come back from selling when she met their landlord standing outside. "Good afternoon, sir," she greeted, balancing her tray as she unlocked the door. "Where is your father?" His voice was sharp and unfriendly. He day inside. She knew what this was about. Her father came out, moving slowly, feeling his way with his walking stick. "Good afternoon, landlord," he said in a tired voice. "Oga no vex, but una go come out today." Odera's heart sank. "Sir, I beg, if you give us more time." Her father sighed heavily. "Landlord, I beg." "No, don't beg me. If una no come out before night, I go call boys, make them throw and load outside." She turned to her father. "Papa, we go park." And so they left. After walking for a long while with nowhere to go, they moved into an uncompleted building. It was not the first time they had done this. Each time they were chased away, They found another empty structure and stayed until they were discovered. The place was cold at night, filled with mosquitoes, but at least they had a roof, no matter how broken. Odera sat beside her father one evening, staring at the dark sky through the open ceiling. He was silent, his face blank as always. "Papa," she said. He replied. "Which stages our suffering will end?" Her father hesitated. "Odera, I'm sorry." She turned to him, frowning. "Sorry for what?" "For making you suffer like this." Odera swallowed, forcing a smile. "Papa, I beg, no start. If I cry now, who will feed you?" She let out a small laugh. "No worry, I did okay." Her father reached out, found her hand and squeezed it. "Odera, my beautiful daughter. Don't worry, it will happen." She did not understand how her father still had faith, despite their many years of suffering. Odera's first encounter with Kelechi, the billionaire, was nothing special. That day, she stood at a busy junction, balancing her tray on her head, calling out to passers-by. Cars honked, buses screeched to a stop. Conductors shouted for passengers. She didn't even notice the black SUV that drove past until she caught the driver's eyes for a second. A handsome man, looking relaxed behind the wheel, glanced her way, then he looked away. The next time was different. Odera stood at the junction again, adjusting her tray, when the same black SUV slowed down beside her. The tinted window rolled down, and she saw the man from before. He had a clean-shaven face, sharp jawline, and eyes that looked like he didn't smile often. "Hello, how much are your bananas?" he asked. She told him the price. He looked at her for a second, then said, "Give me 10. Odera's eyes widened. "10? He nodded. He gave her money, and when she tried to give him change, he waved it off. "Don't worry, you can keep it." Odera stared at the money in her hand. It was more than what she made in a whole day. "Oh God, God go bless you, eh? You no go lack." "Alright." As he drove off, Odera stared at the money again. That was the easiest sale she had ever made. Odera hummed as she counted the money in her hand. The next day, she found herself unconsciously looking out for the black SUV, but he didn't come. She shook her head and scolded herself. Why was she even thinking about him? He was just another rich man. He had probably forgotten about her already, but she was wrong. A few days later, as she stood at her usual spot, the black SUV rolled to a stop again. The window came down, and there he was, watching her with that same unreadable expression. "How market?" His voice was calm. Odera blinked, surprised that he remembered her. She shifted the tray on her head and smiled. "Oga market dey. You won't buy banana again?" He nodded. She packed the bananas, handed them over, and he gave her money. Again, he refused to change. Odera hesitated. He smiled. "Let's just say I appreciate your hard work. Keep it." Odera looked at him closely. There was something different about this man. He wasn't like the others who only saw her as a struggling banana seller. She suddenly felt shy and stepped back. "Thank you, sir. God go bless you." He nodded and drove off, leaving Odera staring after him. The pattern continued. Every few days he would stop by, buy bananas, give her extra money and drive off. Odera never asked his name and he never asked hers. It was a strange kind of familiarity, one that needed no words. One day, instead of just handing her the money, he spoke. "What's your name?" Odera hesitated, then replied, "Odera." He nodded. "I'm Kelechi." She smiled. "Okay, Oga Kelechi." From that day, their conversations became longer. He would ask about her day and she would answer, always careful not to say too much. But one day, without thinking, she let something slip. "My dream not to open my own shop. If I fit get small place, it go better pass all this waka waka what I dey do." Kelechi was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "If you had a shop, what else would you need?" "Maybe extra fruits, banana, orange, every fruit could take there." Kelechi nodded like he was taking mental notes. Then he handed her a bundle of money. "Well, take this." Odera's eyes widened. She stared back. "Oga, no, the money too much." "It's not a gift," she interrupted. "We are doing business. You need to get a shop, then you can pay me back later." Odera felt her heart pounding. "Oga, no fit take this thing." Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to cry. Instead, she took the money with shaky hands. "Thank you, sir. I swear I no go waste time." Within weeks, Odera found a small space at the edge of the market. It wasn't fancy, just a small shop with wall racks. But to her, it was everything. She stocked it with fresh fruits and arranged them neatly. No more running through traffic, No more balancing trays on her head. Every morning, she carefully arranged bananas, orange and pineapples in neat stacks on the wooden table inside her small shop. People noticed the change. Some whispered that the man must have given her the money. Others said she had finally found a helper. Madam Odera, Mama Kelechi, the woman selling vegetables across her, called. Your shop don't they move well, oh. Odera laughed as she packed a customer's order. Mama Kelechi, no be small thing, you dey try. Business was good. Odera no longer had to run through traffic or balance a tray on her head under the scorching sun. She had her shop. Customers came to her, greeted her warmly, and even bargained playfully, instead of treating her like just another desperate street hawker. But Kelechi never came to the shop, no, not even once. At first, she thought he was just busy, but as the months passed, she started to wonder, why would he invest in her business and never come to see it? She visited him often, delivering fresh foods to his office. He always welcomed her, asked about her business, and paid her generously, but he never visited her shop. One day, she asked him, Oga Kelechi, why you never call my shop now? He hesitated, then gave a small smile. I don't want people to start asking questions. She sighed. It no matter now. You're my friend. If people talk, let them talk. A few days later, he finally visited her shop. They sat and talked for a long time. Odera told him stories about the market women, and he shared things about his business. For the first time, they felt truly comfortable around each other. Their friendship grew stronger. Odera no longer felt like just another banana seller when she was with him. She felt important. Then one day, he handed her an envelope. What's this? She asked. Just open. She did and shouted. It was an admission form for her father's surgery. Oga Kelechi, your father deserves to see again, Odera. Tears spilled on her cheeks before she could stop them. She dropped the form and hugged him tightly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kelechi patted her back gently. It's okay. There's just one more thing. You need to go back to school. Odera paused. School? He nodded. Yeah, you're smart, Odera. You deserve more than just a fruit shop. She looked at Kelechi, at the kindness in his eyes, and for the first time in years, hope bloomed in her chest. She smiled. Okay, I'll go back to school. Kelechi became a huge part of their lives. He was there when her father went in for surgery. He was there when Odera took her first step into the classroom. He was there when she opened a bigger shop, expanding her business. After her father's surgery, life changed in more ways than Odera could have imagined. Papa, you just say if you handle the shop, she asked one morning as she prepared for class. Her father, now able to see perfectly again, waved her off. Odera, go to school. You don't do pass yourself for this family. Now my turn to support you. It felt strange, not being in the shop every day, but she had made a promise to Kelechi, to herself, to her father. She was going to finish school. Walking into the classroom for the first time in years was uncomfortable at first. Everyone looked younger, more confident. Odera, on the other hand, felt like an outsider, but she refused to give up. She studied harder than anyone else, determined to make something of herself. What surprised her the most was how people in her neighborhood started treating her differently. Men who had never spoken to her before, who wouldn't have looked her way when she was selling bananas on the roadside, but she always turned them down. Kelechi had never said anything about marriage or love, but she couldn't bring herself to entertain any other man. It felt like betrayal. Years passed, and the little banana seller who once ran through traffic was now a university graduate. After the ceremony, she ran outside, where her father and Kelechi were waiting for her. Her father pulled her into a tight hug. My daughter, I knew you always do this. Took pictures together. Her father on one side, Kelechi on the other. Her only family. One evening, she sat outside her shop, watching the sunset. Kelechi was beside her, quiet. She turned to him. Oga Kelechi, what do you see in the future? He smiled softly. Something very bright. Odera nodded, a small smile on her lips. For the first time in her life, she believed it too.